Hey guys, the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for June 12th, 2025. We're going to do another 2025 fantasy football best ball draft. I'm going to discuss all the players as they come off the board with our special guest tonight. Before we intro him and get into our draft, please hit like, subscribe, comment below this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something for the merch store. You're not, it's deja vu all over again, I guess, because I'm wearing my navy blue Walter Football t-shirt. It's great. So the shirt's so nice, I had to wear it twice. So you had to go to our merch store here, find the shirt. You might be like, wait a second, where is this navy blue shirt? I don't see it anywhere. You can actually go into any shirt, change the colors. You can even select the hoodie or a sweatshirt, long sleeve t-shirt. They have a tank top for women. They have a lot of options here. We have our mug as well. We have our famous apron. Just a lot here on the merch store. We have two new shirts as well. We have our 100% USDA man t-shirt here to honor Matt Millen. We have the Kobasas on the t-shirt as well to do that. And then our second new t-shirt is it is the Watson and Tucker Massage Parlors. Get your happy ending today. And there's a picture of a shady massage parlor on the shirt with massage misspelled intentionally. So I like that design. So you can get that as well as everything else here. You can go to Amazon.com, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks to the College Years, where I made fun of people I saw at Penn State for 6 years. It was a lot of fun to write. I think you guys would have a lot of fun reading it. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. That's the best way to support the show. Just really, it helps out so much. Slew and John Sanders have been helping out the most, followed by Armac, Karmic, the Boss, Can't Make an Eagle, Degeneron, and Evan Daniel. You guys have been so great. I can't say that enough. Like, really, thank you so much, guys. All right, we are joined by Mike Luchene of NFLRoughDraft.com. Mike, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, I love that shirt with the Walter football logo. For the people who don't know, the Walter football logo that's on your shirt right now, that was actually the first sports logo on the internet back in 1996, I believe it was. So it's a little history lesson for the listeners.
That's right. Well, 1999. So just flip that last digit upside down. It's so old. Actually, a reader designed it for me. And I was like, oh, it's a cool logo. Can I have it? He's like, yeah, sure. Let's take it. So, we have it. As we're waiting this draft to start, do you want to touch on NFLRoughDraft.com or intro yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, NFLRoughDraft.com is just the that's a hobby that my buddy Ray Mencio and I have done for about, I don't know, almost 20 years at this point. I used to work for ESPN Stats and Information, and when I left, I wanted to make sure I kept my NFL draft sort of hobby going. And we've had the good fortune of being able to win the Huddle Report's accuracy rankings 3 times, which is nice. Not that many people have won it 3 times. I think maybe Todd McShay, Bob McGinn, and maybe 1 or 2 more people. So we've been pretty accurate with our top 100 board. But, this time of the year, starting to get into fantasy football season. So that's where my focus has been, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I've been doing drafts all the time. I think I've done 60 fantasy football basketball drafts so far. The goal is like 300 by the end of the summer. So I think we'll get there. As speaking of the Huddle Report, I got into a shouting match with whoever runs their Twitter handle. It was like almost 2 years ago, so it's been a while. Because I mentioned Charlie Campbell as the most accurate mock drafter, and they're like, he's not the most accurate mock drafter. He's not on the Huddle Report. I'm like, well, we have a conflict with the scheduling on the Huddle Report. We can't submit it in time. We can never do that. And it's like, hey, if you want to include him, feel free to have the most accurate mock drafter. So we went back and forth. It was funny. I love getting under people's skin on Twitter. It's always a blast.
He's on there now, though, isn't he?
If they added him, then they adjusted for it, but I didn't know because he wasn't on 2 years prior or 2 years ago and before that. So, and I know I spoke to Charlie about that, and he was pretty frustrated that he's like, yeah, like I'm talking to my sources when their deadline is starting. Like I can't do that. I can't submit it in time. And I feel the same. I'm doing the same thing. I'm like talking to Charlie and trying to figure out my final mock draft. It's just so inconvenient for me. I don't know. But I didn't really care beforehand until like they they replied to me on Twitter. Like I just didn't care. But then when they're like, "Oh, Charlie's not the most accurate," I'm like, "Well, Fantasy Pros did mark him down as the most accurate, so so at least someone did." Anyway, we are drafting 12th. So last time you were on, I believe it was 3 weeks ago. I want to say maybe 2 weeks, but maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. Has anything like changed for you at the top, as far as like maybe like reconsider a top pick? Like and I guess I should ask you because people who watched last time or maybe didn't watch you last time, who would you take with the number 1 pick if you had it?
I think I would take Jamar Chase if I had the number 1 pick. I just prefer the top receivers over the top running backs. I mean, when it comes to receiver, talent trumps everything. When it comes to running back, you can get guys who are just kind of like in a good situation and they'll produce for you in fantasy. Like Bijan Robinson's my number 1 running back this year.
Yeah.
But if he were to tear his ACL right now, Tyler Algier would be going in the 2nd round of these drafts, and he would deserve to because he'd be great. Jamar Chase gets hurt. I guess T. Higgins is, still there and he's good. But I mean, Andre Yoshivash is not going to all of a sudden have 1,500 yards receiving. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah, it gets divided between a lot of people, and kind of like the yards kind of disappear too because players don't have to catch the ball in every play. Whereas like if you hand it off to a running back, you can just hand it off to another running back.
Yes, my least favorite saying that people have in fantasy football is somebody needs to catch the ball. Nobody needs to catch the ball in some of these offenses. In bad offenses,
that's true.
Stay away from them.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my rules I try to follow is to draft players from good offenses. Now, like if there are some picks, if on the board and like all the top players and like all these guys are kind of mediocre, then maybe I'll take someone from bad offense. And it kind of like sometimes you just don't know. Like I had we'll get some later, but like Calvin Ridley, for example. Like I think Tennessee's offense is going to be better this year than it was last year, but like we just don't know how good Cam Ward's going to be. So I'm kind of like confused as to what to do with Ridley because I feel like the offense could be good with the improvement on the offensive line. Or they could just struggle if Cam Ward is not good. So like someone like that is just like kind of like in the middle. But like Chris Olave, I was drafting earlier, and I was like, wait a second, this offense is going to stink. So I've kind of been off of him. But we've had we're going to be up on the clock with 2 picks in a bit. So we've had Chase Barkley, Robinson, Jefferson, Lamb, Gibbs, Nakua. So anything like. And then neighbors, anything like standing out to you is like not being correct here?
No, I'm still a little bit worried about Barkley. I feel like he had a great year last year. He's in the same situation. He just scares me because last year was his first year where he's really put up fantasy production like he did. And I know, okay, it's a big difference going from the Giants to the Eagles, but it feels like last year is going to be his ceiling. He's an older back. He's been banged up. And the history of guys who have 400 touches in a season and then go on to the next year is not great.
Yeah, and the Madden curse too, for those who believe it. I don't, but there is that as well. I love Barkley's talent, but you're right. I mean, there are some negatives that can't be ignored. We're going to be up right after this Mark 15 guy with 2 picks. So, we're looking at the top of the board right now. Who would you select? Given that someone who went. Henry went. So, who do you like here with our first 2 picks?
I mean, I like Brian Thomas here. I know he had the shoulder injury today, but I heard he was back on the sideline.
Yeah, I love Thomas.
Same thing with St. Brown. I don't mind Genty at 13. At the end of the first round. How about you?
Well, I love Thomas. There's one concern I have with Thomas. Let's draft him right now, and then we have to make the second pick. So would you go with St. Brown or Genty, or maybe McConkey too? I like him.
McConkey's pretty safe. I like all 3 of those guys, and I think it's your team, so you get the tiebreaker.
Well, I have not. On one hand, I haven't drafted St. Brown. On the other hand, he has a week 8 bye, which Thomas has as well. But then we could just not draft week 8 bye receivers from now on. Let's take St. Brown just because I haven't drafted him yet. The one concern I have with Thomas, I want to get your opinion on it. And I think he's an amazing player. But I was looking at the playoff schedule. I just did a breakdown. I'm gonna have it up on the site either tomorrow or Saturday. Um, or I was looking at the playoff games for the Jaguars. They have to play the Jets in one of the weeks, and then they have to play the Broncos in one of the weeks. So he has to go up against Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain in the playoffs in 2 games. So would that like worry you at all, or are you still going to draft him? Because like I said, I love his talent, and I'm not afraid to draft him, but that's like the one concern I have. So like, how much would you weigh that in your drafting?
Yeah, I don't put much weight into that personally. The way I look at it is it's hard to tell what's going to happen by September. We really don't know how good any of these teams are, even though we can make educated guesses. And when you start to look at the end of the season, I mean, that's so unpredictable. Maybe he won't be going up against Sauce Gardner, like maybe Sauce Gardner's out that week or has some kind of injury. Who knows? Maybe they trade him, or there's so many variables. I know the playoff schedule is something a lot of people really look at, and I look at it sort of in season a little bit. But this time of the year, and really even in like early August, once training camp is rolling, I don't put a lot of stock into it just because there's so much uncertainty. So much happens throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Or and maybe those cornerbacks they follow Travis Hunter instead. So I mean that could also happen. All right, so we have second round here. We have Jacobs, Genty, Bowers, McConkey, Taylor, London, Brown, Achane, Rice, and Josh Allen. Do you see anything here that you don't like at all? And then McBride at 212.
No, I think that's good value on AJ Brown. I like that Lamb AJ Brown start.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a big Lamb guy, but like I love AJ Brown at 208. I worry about Devon Achane's run blocking. Miami's offensive line is kind of a mess. What I don't like is Jay Matukan drafting Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That's kind of wild.
Not a good idea.
And to make it worse, they both have week 7 buys.
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, if they have different buys, like I still wouldn't like it, but at least you're gonna have one of them every week. But week 7, he's gonna have neither, so he's gonna have to have a decent quarterback in week 7 too. So on top of that, I don't really understand that at all. Maybe he thinks this is a 2 QB league. I don't know. Maybe. I was once I've told the story before, and not for a while though. I was once in a league with it's like half the league were like smart people, half the league were like idiots, And we had like a break. We'd always have a break after round 6 for some reason. And so my friend and were walking by, and we walked by this table, like these 2 guys were drafting together, and we passed by. They had a fantasy magazine, so like first of all, that's bad. Second, like we passed by, and they had their page was to PPR rankings. And we're like, this is not a PPR league. What are you drafting up PPR rankings for? So you should know the parameters of your league. All right, we're up in 1 pick. We're up now. Adams, Hill, Evans, Breece Hall, James Cook, DJ Moore, Xavier Worthy, McMillan, Burrow, Hurts. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, I love those. I love Hall and James Cook. And they stand out to me.
Okay. I like Cook. I worry about Hall not catching passes with Justin Fields because the scrambling quarterbacks don't throw as much to running backs. But I'm definitely down to take both. I drafted James Cook earlier today. Let's plug him in right now. So do you want to take Breece Hall here? Does anyone else stand out to you?
Oh, well, who do you like here?
I like DJ Moore personally of these guys. Adams we can't take because they're week 8 bye. So what are your thoughts on Moore versus Hall?
Yeah, you could get that bump with the Caleb Williams second year and Ben Johnson's there now.
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, all right, let's take Moore. And this is a 3 receiver format, the DraftKings best ball.
Going back to what you were saying about fantasy football magazines, it's interesting because if you publish a fantasy football magazine, you almost kind of understand that you're doing a disservice to people, right? Like they're out of date by the time they get published.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You're right. If you see somebody at a live draft and they have a fantasy football magazine, you know that that's kind of like a tell right there. But
Yes. Yes.
I can't believe they even still exist.
I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't had a live draft in a long time. I'm still in like home leagues here, but all of them are online, and I think they all changed. That all changed during COVID, because we used to have so many like live drafts. So you remember, like in August, there'd be like one or two every weekend, and now it's like all online, which kind of sucks. I miss the camaraderie and like seeing people for the first time in a while and like doing the draft, like like toward the end of the draft, having like a beer or two, eating pizza. It's so much fun, and it feels like that's over. So I don't. Do you still do live drafts? By the way, Tyreek Hill went 408. That's the latest I've ever seen him.
Yeah, that's pretty good value for him. I know he's getting older. I know he's not real happy in Miami, and there's some uncertainty there, but that's really solid value for him. One pick ahead of Cortland Sutton and 2 picks ahead of McMillan. I mean, that's fantastic value.
It is. Although I saw a report today saying the Tua wants to get the ball out even faster than last year, which I guess is not good for Hill unless Mike McDaniel decides to design plays for him for once. Which last year it's like there was a game against Seattle where Alec Ingold had more touches than Hill and Waddle combined.
It's not good.
No, that was like I dropped my my coach rating. Not that it's published or anything. I dropped my coach rating on Mike McDaniel by like substantially after that game. And this team 2 guy drafted another running back and a receiver, so not a good start for him. Does any other picks stand out for you here? Metcalf, by the way, is going higher. He was going around 5. Now he's going around 4 because Rodgers signed there. I'm like, are you really surprised by that? I don't know. Anything else stand out for you so far? And we're gonna be up in like half a dozen picks.
No, I mean, again, Travis Hunter. I think we talked about this a little bit last time, and he went a little bit later here. But I just don't see how Trevor Lawrence is going to end up supporting, a top 10 receiver in Brian Thomas, and then, I don't see exactly what's he wide receiver. I don't know, probably a top 24 receiver here in Hunter. So that's, I still think that's a little bit early for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Where would you take Travis Hunter?
I wouldn't take him until about the 6th round. So I'm probably not going to be getting a lot of Travis Hunter this year.
Yeah, me neither. He's going at least 2 rounds too early. I don't really see it. Team 5, by the way, paired Jalen Hurts with AJ Brown. I like that for sure. Ridley's going earlier too. He was going 6th round about 3 weeks ago, and now he's going round 5. Like this is kind of a little early, round 5. All right, we're gonna be up on the clock in 2 picks. RJ Harvey's falling, by the way. He's going around 6 now, predictably. Then there's Kenneth Walker, Waddle, James Conner, Laporta. Who got taken? Connor got taken. Samuel Henderson, Juwan Jennings, Godwin, Montgomery, Jerry, Judy, Jordan Addison, Mahomes, Odunze. Who do you like here?
I don't mind the running backs, actually. I don't mind Waddle and best ball. And yeah, I like Odunze. I'm a big Odunze fan.
Okay, we could take him with one of the picks. Who else do you like?
I like all of those running backs.
Walker?
Yeah, I like Walker, Henderson, even Harvey.
You did mention Henderson before, the last time you were on. So we had 2 running backs, 3 receivers. Would you rather take Henderson or Odunze? Because maybe Odunze comes back to us. Probably not, but Henderson's ADP is higher, and it's less likely that he's going to come back to us. So would you? Okay, let's go Henderson, and then hopefully Odunze comes back to us, or maybe another receiver. But we'll need 2 more receivers, I think, by round 9, because that's when they disappear. I feel like. And I think you need in best ball. I think you need 5 receivers by the end of round 9, or you're kind of cooked at the position because there's really no depth. I found from my 60 drafts. I don't know. People might disagree. Like they might like other receivers. I don't. But I found that like when I get past round 9, there's like no receivers I like except for like some late round guys. Like Cedric Tillman and Alec Pierce, who are good in best ball.
Right.
But yeah, Juwan Jennings is someone I like as well. I've been drafting him a lot. I think he's my second highest exposed player. do you like those Niner players? Jennings, Pearsall.
I,
What do
you
you think?
know, I like Jennings. I see Judy in this range, and that's all fine. I just, when you're picking here, I just think, a guy like Adunze has league winning potential. Like I'm looking at McMillan and Hunter going in the fourth round.
Yeah,
I think Adunze is better than both of those guys. I know it's probably controversial, but he didn't have a great year last year. Caleb Williams didn't have a great year last year. He had not only DJ Moore there, but Keenan Allen was there. He got a lot of targets.
right.
They didn't really have a great offensive coaching staff. And even Jalen Waddle. Like I'd rather have Jalen Waddle over, like Jerry Judy, just in best ball. Another thing I noticed real quick.
Sure.
So a few years ago, that Garrett Wilson draft, those top receivers, those top rookie receivers were all going in like the 8th round range. Wilson,
Yeah.
Olave, Traylon Burks was in that class. All of those guys. And I love that value. Last year, the receivers were a little bit better with Harrison, the rookie receivers, Harrison, Neighbors, Dunze, and they were going higher. They were going in like the 2nd and 3rd round. Marvin Harrison was even going at the top or the end of the 1st round in some leagues. I feel like what we're seeing here early this year is it hasn't corrected enough. Like these guys, McMillan and Hunter, are closer to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and that rookie crew than Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison. So I just can't believe how early they're going.
I know. I totally agree. Not just the receivers, but like RJ Harvey was going 5th round last week. I was going 6th round, which is still early in my opinion. I don't really understand like the it's almost like FOMO with these running backs. Like people just like want to have them so much. And then someone I spoke to before, they're even drafting, like I think he took RJ Harvey at like 412 in his draft. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like that was even before like Dobbins signed, but still, I'm just like I like Bijan Robinson didn't get the full workload as a rookie. Like you think RJ Harvey's going to? Like I know the other Denver running backs suck, but RJ Harvey has some issues. He's not like a perfect player. So yeah, I didn't get that. McMillan, like he doesn't love football. Travis Hunter, we don't know if he's going to play offense full time. Like I think he will, but he may not. And
Brian Thomas there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's the receiver too on that team. With an offense that Liam Cohen is going to want to run the ball a lot, which is he did that in Tampa. He had 2 running back personnel in Tampa a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know they have big plans for Hunter, but still, like someone like Quinshon Judkins, I feel like his range is like perfect. Like 706 makes a lot for him.
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense for him. Caleb
Johnson.
Johnson.
It's not a knock on Hunter, but like you're taking him over Tyreek Hill in a redraft league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get it. Unfortunately, Dunze just won. He almost made it to us, so I was almost correct. We do have more though, so it's still fine. We're up in 2 picks. So the receiver, I'm going to show you the receivers, how they are kind of depressing here. There's Cooper, Diggs, Golden, Reed, who just went? Golden went. Ayuk, Mooney, Igbuka, Pittman, Higgins, Coleman, Bateman is Downs. Downs is even gone. So we need at least one of these receivers. So who do you like here? And then I'm just going to go overall.
I mean, Diggs is a gamble, but he, if he bounces back from the ACL and fights off the age, he could make it. Jaden Reed's pretty good in best ball. He just doesn't play a lot in 2 receiver sets.
Yeah.
Who are you looking at here?
Well, we're gonna take Reed was our pick because we ran out of time. And then man, these receivers suck. I don't want to touch Diggs. He's not gonna play till like week 5. Maybe Pittman. I know Coleman is getting some love from people I respect. Higgins is okay. I think we can draft Jones or Pacheco instead. Who do you like more? Real quick.
Up to you. Aaron Jones follows me on Twitter. Aaron Jones.
Right. Good enough. Let's take Aaron Jones.
Going over to Brandon, he's talking about Christian Kirk. I've never liked Christian Kirk in fantasy. I've always thought he was overrated, but I'm with Brandon here. He's now with the Texans. He's in a good offense. Tank Dell's obviously not playing this year. I think Christian Kirk could have a little bit of value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just needs to stay healthy. That's the problem. That's always been the problem with him.
Yep. Bash in the 8th round?
Yeah. I did a draft earlier today. I think he went like 11th or 12th round. 803 is a bit of a reach there. I do like him, but not 8th round.
No.
And there's Stephon Diggs. Yeah, more Diggs. Like I don't like receivers coming off torn ACLs, especially an older receiver. Yeah. And I saw a report saying he's not going to play till week 5, or I think it was week 4. I don't know how accurate that report was, but I don't know. I feel like 804. I think that's way too early for Diggs.
Yeah, I'd rather be out a year early on these older players, especially coming off injuries, than a year too late.
Yeah, and by the same measure, Cooper Kupp 7-11. I think that's even worse.
Yep.
He looked so washed up last year, and like that was with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. Now he's going to have not Sean McVay, and he's going to have Sam Darnold. So it's quite the downgrade for Cooper Kupp. So Mahomes went 606. I did a draft where I did a draft today. Mahomes went 710. And it's kind of like I've had discussions with people about like where you would take Mahomes because he always seems like a value if he falls to like round 7. But given like that he hasn't produced in a couple of years, like I don't know how you feel about Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be taken into account. He wasn't a QB1 2 years ago. He was QB 13 overall, I believe. And then everybody kind of just treated him like, oh, he's definitely going to bounce back. And he's a great quarterback, but in fantasy, he bounced back a little bit, but he didn't get back to that 30 points per game or the top few quarterback range. So I think 7th, 8th round is about right for him. I don't usually end up with Mahomes or any of those top quarterbacks in my drafts.
Yeah, I usually don't either, unless they like if Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson falls to like late round 3, then I'll take them. If Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts falls to late round 5, I'll take them. Otherwise, I will not take an early quarterback. But this Marotta 07 guy, he took Mahomes and Bo Nix in round 6 and 8. So what's the rest of the team look like? He took Nakua, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Taylor, Hall, Mixon. I think otherwise it looks good. I don't like Kelsey at all at 707 with Rashee Rice healthy. But I don't like this double early quarterback unless like you're getting insane value with 2 elite guys. I've done that before. I think I did one draft where I drafted, I think it was Josh Allen late 3rd round, and then Jalen Hurts fell to me at late 5th round, and I'm like, you know what? I have not done this before. I probably won't do it too many times. I'll just do it now. So
yeah. But this is different. This is why do you need Bo Nix over Kyler Murray? Or I mean, even Brock Purdy. I mean, is Bo Nix even going to be better than JJ McCarthy?
Right.
There's a huge cluster of quarterbacks there. Caleb Williams is there. I don't see why you take Bo Nix where he took him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we're up now. Who went Mason? So Caleb Williams is at the top of the board. He fits with Rome Odunze, DJ Moore. There's Michael Pittman Jr. I know you like Tyler Warren. I'll star him. I guess Bateman's okay. Trey Harris, Zach Charbonnet. Although we have 3 running backs already. So who do you like? Who are you liking here?
I like Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, and Tyler Warren. Truthfully,
okay.
You have the step up with Caleb Williams that you could end up with. Dak Prescott was QB1 overall a couple years ago, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Tyler Warren, I think, is going to get rushing attempts as well. I mean, I know they have Richardson, but I could see, and Richardson's hurt now. I could see Tyler Warren getting some of those goal line wildcat carries.
Interesting. So who do you like more, Prescott or Warren?
Prescott. Got to go veteran.
Okay. All right, cool. So we had 2 quarterbacks. You need 3 in best ball. Unless like you have 2 elite guys, but not on the same bye. Otherwise you need 3 quarterbacks because what happens is if you have three, one gets hurt, now you're down to two, and then if your other guy's on bye, that means you still have one left over. If you only have two quarterbacks, one gets hurt, then you have a bye week. You're going to take a 0 at quarterback, which is going to like really set you back in this format. So, by the way, Colson Loveland goes before Tyler Warren in the real draft and also this best ball draft, which I don't agree with, especially with Loveland. There was a report out today saying that Loveland is not going to be ready by training camp because he has a shoulder issue.
Yeah, shoulders are scary too. I mean, it's a high likelihood of re-injury.
Yeah, so I think Loveland is going too early. Like, it's always a chance that he falls in one of these drafts, and you can scoop him up for good value. But I think he's another rookie. He's going too early, and this guy, 1946 Rams, he's taken Genty, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden, Jake Vetch, Jaden Higgins, and Colson Loveland.
There's always someone who's obsessed with rookies that especially this time of the year. And Loveland, I mean, he's got Cole Kmet there. You look at Tyler Warren and the other Colts tight ends, Will Mallory, Kylan Granson. I think Kylan Granson's still there. Alec Ogletree. They have nothing there. So Warren's going to play a lot right off the bat. And then, it's interesting. This time of the year, this is rookie fever time of the year. And then as we get into August, it always reverses. Everyone's like, oh, RJ Harvey, this guy, this rookie running back. And then camp notes start coming out, and it's like, oh, well, RJ Harvey's behind Jaleel McLaughlin or whoever. Like, that always seems to be the case. People have this thought that these rookie running backs are going to play and get, the full load right off the bat this time of the year. And then they see in August, like, oh, no, the team doesn't trust him to pass protect yet. So they're going to ease him in. Or, he's obviously never played 17 games in a season coming from college. So, the team's going to ease him in because they don't want him to break down at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's funny how that reverses course. And then that's when you finally get the value on the rookies when that happens. Speaking of big workloads, you mentioned Barkley earlier. I think Ashton Genty had like 370 or 390 touches last year.
For played a lot of games.
Yeah, so I think you have to factor that in as well. That is a lot. By the way, Team One took Justin Herbert and Trey Harris, which I've done a couple of times. I don't get Jalen McMillan going round 11 with Emeka Egbuka there. Just doesn't really make much sense to me. And by the way, knock on wood, fingers crossed, but Tyler Warren is still available. So hopefully we get him at 11-12. That'd be nice.
Look at this. Drake May, 4 rounds later or 3 rounds later than Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I still can't understand why that guy took Bo Nix in the 8th round.
After Mahomes 2 rounds earlier.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense at all. And it's not like he was pairing him with Sutton either, right? He didn't take Sutton, so there's not even correlation that he was trying to do. What do you think about Cam Scotabo at 1106? I've seen him go round 9. In fact, I saw him go round 7 one draft. What are your thoughts on him? Because I'm utterly confused about why he's going so early.
I actually love it in the 11th round. I would say anywhere from round 9 on is a good value for those borderline day 2, day 3 running backs like Scotabo, Warren. There goes Warren.
Yeah, this guy took Kelsey, Ingram, and Warren. He really needed all 3 tight ends. Come
on. Well, when Kelsey retires in October, I'll have Warren.
That's true. All right, we're up in 3 picks. I'll switch on the next one. So Scotabo, I get round 11's fine, but every time he goes round 9 or earlier, I'm like, he's not even the RB2 on the team. He's the RB3, and maybe he does pass them Singletary, but Singletary's a good backup. I'm not going to count on that. But anyway, so Christian Kirk is here. If you want to draft him, we need a receiver. Anyway, here's the board: Njoku, Kirk, Lawrence, Tootin, Kraft, Blue, Likely, Burden, Kincaid, Goddard, Penix, Kyle Williams, Rashad White, Ray Davis, Tagovailoa, Stafford, Marquise Brown, Garendo. Who do you like here?
I'm going to throw two tight ends out there. First
Okay.
of all, Njoku with Joe Flacco playing quarterback. Joe Flacco just feeds tight ends. I mean,
Yes.
when Njoku was there with Flacco a couple years ago, he had some of the best games of his career. And
Oh
then
yeah.
Kraft. The other day, I don't know if you saw this, Jordan Love came out and he's like, we got to get the ball to Kraft early and often. He's, he used some kind of hyperbole, like an elite playmaker or something. And he said it's going to be a focus to get the ball to Tucker Kraft. So I like those two guys.
Okay. I'm going to take Njoku. We're running out of time there. I do like both for sure. Njoku, you make a great point with Flacco. The tricky part is keeping Flacco as the starter. But early on, you should do well. So who else do you like? We really need a receiver. Do you want to take Kirk?
Yeah, I think Kirk will have some big games.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We drafted Christian Kirk. I think it's the first time I drafted him, but I don't mind him. I think he's underrated at this point. Like you said, like he's in a better offense. He's going to play in the slot. Now he's probably going to get hurt at some point, but when he's healthy, he's going to do well, I think. And really, even though he's in the slot, he's basically the number 2 receiver because Jaden Higgins is an unknown. Who knows? Maybe Higgins will be great. Maybe Jalen Noel will surpass Kirk, but I think early in the season, Kirk is going to be the number 2 option there. So I'm a fan of that. Although I don't know, there have been some reports about Stroud's shoulder soreness too, which concern me a little bit, but not like too much right now. Because it's only June, but then I had like PTSD flashbacks of Christian McCaffrey. Oh, he just has a calf. It's okay at this point in time last year. And then we knew what happened after that. He played 4 games. So I don't know. It might be worse than they're letting on, but then again, it might be nothing. So it's a tricky situation. I found myself drafting Stroud a lot earlier, and now I'm not drafting him. Just like heading elsewhere. But
yeah, it's a little bit scary, but you're right. It's only June, and certainly they're going to manage any minor little injury in June minicamp.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. We'll see what happens, I guess. So in this range, do you see anything that you like any players we didn't talk about who went that you like, or if you see anyone you're like, oh man, by the way, Tucker Kraft just went. Do you see anyone who's like, oh man, I would not draft them this early? Does anyone stand past couple rounds? Does anyone stand out to you?
Again, it's just I love all these quarterbacks that have gotten that have been picked, in this range. I feel like I haven't gotten to best ball season yet. I'm still in dynasty mode, sort of. But there are a lot of boom or bust quarterbacks in this range. It's a position where you can see a guy just have a good year and be QB1 overall. Mm-hmm. It happens. Matthew Stafford was QB1 overall back 3 or 4 years ago, and he obviously isn't running around making plays with his feet. Guys come out of nowhere to be QB1 overall, and you have some candidates in this range. Love. He's got even more weapons this year with Golden there. McCarthy's an unknown. I know that would be a little bit of a stretch, but Drake May could make a jump.
Yeah.
Young could make a jump. Stroud, that's really late for Stroud. So yeah, I kind of like the quarterbacks in that range.
Yeah, we do need another quarterback as well. I found myself drafting Cam Ward a lot just because he has upside as a runner. Would you like him in round 13 or?
Yeah, I like how there goes.
I kind of like when I talk about Warren, he goes. I talk about Cam Ward, he goes. I feel like I'm the jinx here, unfortunately. But yeah, we do need another quarterback at some point. I just don't know if anyone's viable who's available. Stafford, there you go, Stafford. And he makes sense buy-wise for us. I've been drafting Richardson round 16. I know he's injured right now, but he was going a lot earlier before. I think round 16 is good value for him.
He was in the draft and everybody said, okay, you got to be patient with Richardson. He's not a finished product. We all saw that, right? Those of us who cover the draft, we all knew he wasn't ready to play right away. Mm-hmm. But he came in and had that 2 or 3 game stint at the beginning of his career where he was really good before he got hurt. And now everybody's out of patience with him.
Right.
I mean, the guy's basically been a starter for one season, and people are giving up on him.
I know it's a little absurd. All right, we're up right now after this next pick. There's likely Stafford, Garendo, Ertz, Eckler, Benson, Leggett, who went? Dobbins went. Algier, Sam Darnold, Gesicki, Freiermuth, Dobbs, Strange, Dowdle, Tillman, Allen Pierce. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I like the quarterbacks you were talking about. I love Garendo.
Yes, I
Don't
like these
mind
two.
Trey Benson.
Okay, I love Stafford and Garendo together.
Let's do it.
Okay, all right. So yeah, Stafford. Maybe we can pair him with Higbee later or Tutu Atwell. I feel like whoever like my round 18, 19, 20 players are just linked up with my quarterbacks. So whenever I draft Stafford, I draft Atwell, for example. This might be a wasted pick, but I drafted Justin Fields earlier today, and in the 20th round, I drafted Arian Smith, and I'm like, yeah, he can't catch anything, but he has a lot of speed, and I'm like, well, what if they teach him how to catch, and he uses his speed to make some big plays, like, and Justin Fields can go deep, so I thought, hey, why not?
And he's at the mini camp buzz, and then there's been a trend of receivers getting LASIK eye surgery and sort of improving a little bit with drop passes.
Do you know if he got it specifically? I know, and maybe you're talking general, but did you hear anything about him getting it at all?
I didn't hear anything about him getting it. I know Trey Tucker got it last year because it was a huge issue for him when he was a rookie, and it was less of an issue last year for sure.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll get it. I feel like that's a correctable thing, rather than you can't teach a guy how to run fast,
right?
But you can teach a guy how to carry a ball or catch a ball.
And there are great receivers who have had issues with drops. I mean, Brandon Marshall dropped a bunch of passes, and he was a great receiver.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And it's the same thing with running backs and fumbles. Like you can teach a guy how not to fumble. Like remember Tiki Barber was so prone to fumbling, and then Tom Coughlin came in and taught him how to carry like this, and then he never fumbled again.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is correctable, and I think it was John Sanders in the chat here who said one time he's like if a running back is fumbling a lot, that's on the coach and not the running back, because you should be able to fix it, So
that's
I don't
a big deal with Tootin. I know everybody loves Tootin. I do too. But he fumbled, I think, 9 times in the last couple of years. That was a big deal with Marshawn Lloyd going into his draft year too. I think he was never really like a carry the load type running back in college, and he had 8 or 9 fumbles as well.
Yeah, 9 times. By the way, I asked you before if you do live drafts, and we kind of forgot about that question. Do you still do live drafts, or are they all mostly online?
It's a lot spottier than it used to be. I mean, we're all kind of getting older. We have kids. It's harder to get everybody together. And then I'm kind of a pain too, because I've been trying to hold off a lot of my redraft leagues until August. I try to exercise some discipline on that, and I end up having multiple drafts every other day, so it gets harder for me to make the in-person drafts too. But it was definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'd be like Fred Flintstone, show up to 2 drafts at the same time.
Yeah,
you draft 2 quarterbacks in the same team. It's like, oh, I thought I drafted on the other team. It'd be a funny skit to do. I don't know. Anyway, so we're now in the 15th round. Daniel Jones goes before Anthony Richardson. Worth noting, which was definitely not happening a few weeks ago. Richardson was going round 13, round 14, and now he's falling to round 16. So I think that's interesting because I feel like whoever's getting drafted later has good value. And you're right, there was that was the sticking point with Richardson. It's hey, you have to wait on this guy because he's not going to be ready. So,
but now everybody in the media and all of the fans have given up on him after 1 year.
Exactly. All right, we're up right now. Alex Pierce just went, unfortunately. So we have Freiermuth, not drafting Hopkins, Taylor, Hunt, Justice Hill, Noel, Will Shipley, Keenan Allen, Anthony Richardson, Sr., Demario Douglas, Okonkwo, Michael Wilson, Sampson, Yashevitz, Schultz, Shuck. Anyone? We have 10
Is this
picks.
your Richardson pick?
We have 3 quarterbacks already.
We do. Okay.
Yeah.
Noel? I don't know. Noel. I like Noel, even though we have Kirk.
Okay, I took Noel. We have 6 receivers, 5 running backs. What do you think about Justice Hill or Will Shipley?
I like Shipley a lot, but I think Shipley's got some potential. Justice Hill, I think he's got Keaton Mitchell there to contend with. He's healthy this year.
That's true. Yeah, he was coming off the torn ACL last year. Yeah, I'm going to draft Will Shipley. I love Will Shipley. I love his talent. And you said it. Barkley had 400 touches last year. What if he gets banged up if this is time? Like, there's no Kenneth Gainwell anymore. It's going to be the Will Shipley show if Barkley goes down. And also, I mean, the Eagles are going to be a part of some blowouts this year. Like, Shipley could come in the fourth quarter and just rush for a 60-yard touchdown like he did against the Redskins in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, and A.J. Dillon's there too, because and that's probably better for Shipley, right?
Yeah.
Because now they're not going to go bring another running back in most likely, and
exactly.
He's better than A.J. Dillon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you mind if I chime in on this round before us right here, before the Shipley round?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I really like Jalen Wright in the 15th round. The Dolphins always give touches to multiple running backs. He was a guy I really liked last year. I know he went in the 4th round in the actual draft, but they traded a future 3rd to get him. He's the guy I could see taking a nice step forward. And then with Josh Palmer, I'm not going to say I like Josh Palmer, but I heard an interesting stat, and an interesting tidbit, and I wish I could remember who I heard it from, so I could give them credit for this. But apparently the Bills went out and targeted Josh Palmer because they don't have anybody who's good against man defense. And Josh Palmer just torches man defense. So I would say I like that pick as much as I'm just kind of intrigued to see what's going to happen with Josh Palmer this year.
Yes, I've drafted Palmer when I've drafted Josh Allen. That's the only I've never drafted him without Allen, but I do. That does intrigue me. Like, he was disappointing last year, but the year before he did well. So I think he could bounce back potentially, and that's a great point on him. I love Jalen Wright. I love that call. He is my 4th highest exposed running back that I have in best ball. Do you want to guess who the top 3 are?
Grendo. Grendo's 1.
Grendo's number 1. Yes. Algiers number 2. 2 for 2.
The other one's got to be a high upside. Is it Shipley?
Yes. Oh my God, 3 for 3. Good job.
No,
that's awesome.
When you're taking late running backs, you want these guys where they have a chance to win you the league if the starter gets hurt. Not everyone's like that, right? Like if Gentry gets hurt, Raheem Mostert probably isn't having another 20 touchdown season.
No.
So you want these guys with the high upside, and I'm on the same page as you with those guys.
That's awesome. It only took you 3 guesses to get all 3. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Do you want to take a guess? We can do that guessing game another time. For those wondering, my 5th highest exposed running back is Isaiah Pacheco, because he was going like late round 8 a lot earlier. Where did he go in this draft? I think he went like early round 8. Yeah, 805. So I think he's going to bounce back. I think that's a good value for him. But yeah, that's funny that you guessed all 3. We've only done 2 drafts together. Or I guess no. I mean, we did 2 drafts last time, I think. So we've done 3 drafts in total. So that's pretty hilarious. What's our setup here? We have 3 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 6 receivers, and 1 tight end. So we need 2 more tight ends. We have 4 picks left. So 2 tight ends, and then at least 1 receiver, and then and then anything else. So I think we definitely need a tight end, at least 1 tight end at this wrap around here. And I still think there's some good ones. Let's look to see who's there. Richardson, by the way, is still here. I don't mind taking Richardson at all, even though he's our 4th quarterback. So there's Ferguson, Taysom Hill, Theo Johnson, Arroyo, Gray, Higbee. And I'll stop at Higbee because we have Stafford. So do you want to take 2 tight ends here? Do you want to take Richardson? Receivers, no one.
I don't think we should take Richardson since we already have 3 quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you should take one of your Ram tight ends here, right? Didn't you say do we have Stafford? We do have Stafford, right?
We do, yeah.
So you said you wanted a Ram tight end, right?
Yeah, I want to pair someone with Stafford, so we
Okay.
can get Higbee here.
Up to you.
We'll draft Higbee, even though we can maybe get him in the 19th round, but I don't want to risk it. And then do you want to take Theo Johnson? Again, there's Richardson, Jerome Ford, Ferguson, Dart, etc., Slayton, Gorham.
You know, I know he's a rookie tight end, but I love Arroyo. I mean, that guy has got a chance to be a big time. I know it's redraft, but
Okay.
he was so good at the Senior Bowl. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah. We made a slight mistake here. We took 2 week 8 bye tight ends. It's not a big deal. We still have Njoku, so hopefully he's a good week 8 opponent. And hopefully Flacco's still the quarterback. What do you think about Hunter for the Rams? I heard it might be one of these other late running back guys. I heard a quote from Sean McVay recently, and this quote was from April, but it kind of resurfaced. And maybe people heard it beforehand, but this is the first time I heard it. When he drafted Hunter, he said in the drafting, he's like that's the one guy I wanted on day 3.
Yep.
So I found that interesting. So I've been drafting him here and there, not a lot, but is he one of these late round guys that you would target, or do you like Corum over him, or just avoiding the situation?
No, I mean, I think all things equal, I think you have to go Hunter over Corum based on that. But I heard that same thing. I was like the footage from the war room, and I'm always skeptical when I hear stuff like that. I mean, okay, they clearly really wanted him, and that's good. But this kind of reminds me of one of those situations like I was talking about earlier. It's not going to surprise me at all if we get to camp and it's like, oh yeah, Blake Corum's ahead of him. Well, of course Blake Corum's ahead of him because he's got a year under his belt and he's better in pass protection now. So I love Rams running backs because even though they say that they want to kind of lighten the load, they usually only give the ball to one guy. So they're great for fantasy as long as you have the guy that's playing. But I think it's the biggest thing that's coming from this is I think it's maybe making Blake Corum just a little bit undervalued.
I can see that too. Yeah, that's a good point. He is going later than he was. I found him consistently available around 19, which is last year. Remember last year people were like, oh, maybe Corum's going to take Kyren Williams' job.
Yeah, in August, people were saying that like a week before the season started.
I remember people saying that. I'm like, are you insane? I kept drafting Kyren Williams value. Oh, there Corum goes 18-11.
It's because they made some kind of comment or their PR staff posted Kyren Williams as the kick returner on their depth chart.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That didn't work out, huh? That didn't happen. Maybe lesson learned. Just don't listen to the team's depth chart.
Yeah.
And maybe the guy was trolling people and wanted to draft Kyren Williams.
Well, a couple years ago, or a few years ago at this point, Josh Jacobs played in the Hall of Fame game, and everyone was "Oh, draft Kenyon Drake. Josh Jacobs is getting cut. He's playing in the Hall of Fame game." He led the NFL in rushing that year.
Yeah, that was Josh McDaniels. Playing games with people. That was so weird. That was so strange. I mean, no wonder he didn't cut it as a head coach twice, but that was absurd. Do you like any of these late guys here that we haven't talked about? Any rookies that stand out? Maybe like Tesla or Roy or Slayton. Go ahead.
Tesla is in a good offense, and he's the height, weight, speed guy. So in best ball, I like him. Atwell, there's another McVay comment. He said he's got to get the ball to him. He's got to do a better job getting the ball to him. Thornton's got the mini camp buzz, although I don't really put much stock into that. The guy I like here is Ty Felton. He's not getting any I don't actually haven't been paying attention to whether or not he's getting buzz, but you know, he led the Big Ten in receiving last year. I thought he was actually going to go a lot higher than he did, and he was still a third-round pick. He's another one who's in a good offense. He's not going to have a huge season, but I could see him having some big games.
Okay, let's take Felton. And our final pick, I highlighted Theo Johnson just because we screwed up with the bye weeks. I do like him a lot. He's a super athletic guy. But do you like anyone else who like
You're a Penn State guy. We've got to take Theo Johnson.
Okay, fair enough. We missed Brenton Strange. We can take Theo Johnson.
We missed Ben Warren too.
Oh yeah, we did. We had multiple shots on Penn State tight ends. So yeah, you're right. We had to take one of these guys. 4 tight ends is not something I like, but Theo Johnson he does have good value. I mean, 3, 6, 7, 4 is fine. You need at least 3 at every position. You need at least 7 receivers. So like ideally this would be like 6, 3, 6, 8, 3 or 3, 7, 7, 3. That's fine. I don't really have an issue with it. I would have liked Atwell if he fell to us because we had Stafford. Like usually I like to pair like I said before, my late round guys with the quarterbacks, but really there's no one with Prescott who's still available. Same thing with Caleb Williams. With Stafford, at least you had Atwell, and there was Jordan Whittington as well, but he went at 1910. So I didn't really see anyone. Some late round guys have been taking Deontay Thornton, who went 1909, just because of his athletic ability, and then Marquez Valdes-Scantling, just because he always has like 3 games where he goes off and does nothing, which is like perfect for best ball in the 20th round.
It really is.
So yeah. And by the way, Richardson went 1908, which is that's the latest I've ever seen him go.
Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah. Talk about like opposites here. This guy took 4 quarterbacks. So he took Fields, Lawrence, Richardson, and Sanders.
You can't draft Shedeur Sanders in a redraft best ball league. You just can't.
There's no upside. And like he may not even play. Yeah, he may not play. That's one of the issues. The other issue is he's no upside. I don't know. He's the 4th quarterback on the team right now. Yeah. Like you might as well draft Dylan Gabriel. Unless you're going to draft a Brown quarterback. Flacco, by the way, did not get drafted. I'd rather draft Flacco because he's the starter. And like we saw it with Cleveland. I mean, he had great games. Now, granted, last year he was awful with the Colts. And anyone who bet the Colts when they played the Vikings on Sunday Night Football knows very well that he was so washed up. Like, I lost money in that game. But it was not that long ago that he took the Browns to the playoffs. And they do have good weapons. They have Judy. They have Tillman and Njoku. Judkins I like. Offensive line is good except for left tackle. They have an offense that is going to be functional if their quarterback is at least somewhat mediocre, and that Flacco can be that maybe if he kind of like relives his Cleveland days from 23. So we'll see. But I agree, Sanders is it's kind of silly to draft him, especially after you drafted Richardson. Like that was great value.
Yeah.
But Sanders is not. This draft is about to end. Miles Sanders, this guy, I don't know. There's a lot of sketchy picks here late. Trevor Etienne went.
Ty Johnson. I'm not a big Ty Johnson fan either. I mean, if you're getting kick return yards, I'll take him.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, I think you get rush. You get kickoff touchdown points here. Yeah, otherwise, you don't. And then Tank Dell's not going to play. All right, let's review our team. Who's Mr. O'Donnell? No, Gray. Okay. Let's review our team and then we can head out. So we started off with double receiver with Thomas and St. Brown, and then our other receivers, DJ Moore, Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk, Jalen Knoll, and Ty Felton. I like it at the top a lot. We don't have much depth at the position though, which is a concern because you need to start 3 receivers, and we have 2 receivers in week 8. So in week 8, we're going to be scrambling. Same thing week 5. We have Moore and Reed week 5, and then 6. It's funny. We have our buys are 8, 8, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6. So those 3 weeks are going to be kind of scrambling, unfortunately. So definitely mind your bye weeks. But outside of that, I like the top of this receiving core. It just, like I said, depth is an issue. I like our running backs a lot, though. Cook, Walker, Henderson, Jones. Like, that's a great quartet of running backs. And then we have a couple of upside guys with Guerendo and Shipley. Our quarterbacks are Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford. I think there's upside and floor there. So I'm a fan of that. And then tight end Njoku, and then Higbee, Arroyo, and Theo Johnson. I like this team. Of course, like everyone's going to like their team when they draft it, but I think this team can contend. There were some teams drafting sketchy players, like this 46 Rams guy took all rookies. This guy took 2 quarterbacks early. So there's some teams that you can like automatically scratch off. Like the guy took McMillan, for example. The rest of the team's not bad, I guess. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on this team? And overall, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. We took some shots here with some of the younger running backs, and some of the guys with, like we talked about, the high upside. And as long as the top receivers stay healthy, Brian Thomas, St. Brown, DJ Moore, they should be hitting the lineup a lot. Jaden Reed's just one of those guys where, if you have to set a lineup, he's a rough player to have in your lineup. But in best ball, he really does put up some huge games. So, I like him. And I like the strategy of waiting on quarterback here, not panicking, not forcing value, and kind of just seeing who falls. And Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott. I mean, look, neither of those guys are going to be the favorite to be like QB1 overall, QB2 overall, or QB3 overall. Mm-hmm. But both of those guys are capable of being QB1 overall. And I had this same thing last year. All of my FFPC redraft leagues, I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. And in every single one of those leagues, my quarterback was either Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels or both of them.
Wow,
so,
nice.
I mean, Joe Burrow was going as like quarterback 14 last year. And look what he did.
That's crazy.
I love the strategy of waiting on quarterback.
Me too, unless you get good value. I usually wait till round 9, 10 or so to start drafting my quarterbacks. So we're definitely on the same page there. All right. So, I had fun drafting with you, doing the show with you, Mike, as always. Great. Great time. But yeah, do you want to, on the way out, talk about NFLRoughDraft.com? Visit NFLRoughDraft.com. Support Mike. Any final thoughts here?
Yeah, no, check us out when it gets to draft season. Our top 100 boards, always pretty accurate. And yeah, thanks for having me on, Walt. I love talking fantasy football and doing these drafts. And, it's just starting to heat up. We have Scott Fishbowl coming up in a couple of weeks. And I guess the last thing I want to say, just, send my condolences out to all the people in the fantasy community, and of course his family. Anthony Cervelli is a big guy in the fantasy community who, unexpectedly passed away last week. So, thoughts and prayers, obviously out to his family and, all of his friends in the fantasy community.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. That's definitely condolences to that. I didn't hear about that. So, all right, guys. So thank you so much for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. Tom's going to be on tomorrow instead of Saturday. He's making the trip to see his dad for Father's Day. Saturday, we're going to have another guest. So we're not going to take any breaks here. Once again, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description of the merch store. Once again, Mike, thanks for coming on. Love doing the show with you. Hopefully you can come on in a few weeks and we'll talk more fantasy football, and maybe things will change by then. So, guys. All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you.